Manuela Moreira is here. She is an interior designer. We met in our building because one day I got out of the elevator and Manuela was wheeling a cart with some things on the cart and the cutest chihuahua, caramel colored chihuahua I've ever seen. And I kind of lost it. And then we had this whole conversation. And then she told me about Toby Small Dog Rescue, which I already knew about because I was kind of looking for a dog. And then I got Linus, and then Linus and Chloe, Manuela's dog, fell in love. And then Manuela and I fell in love, and we have.
I
So
love it. I love
this is
it.
our story. But anyway, she's a very talented, gifted interior designer, and I love her story and her. And I just like I wanted to just talk to you and talk about all the things. And then we had some listener questions come in as well, and they were so good. So we're gonna get to those too. So hi, Manuela.
Hi, thank you for
Hi.
having me. And I forgot that that's how we first met in
Like
the
our
elevator.
paths
Yeah.
crossed, and
When
yeah,
Chloe was on the cart,
yeah.
just having the best time. And
Chloe was, and like I was like, this is the cutest thing ever. And so I was like, can I please pet your dog? And then of course I was like petting the dog, and I noticed like Chloe was like, you can pet me, but I'm not getting off the cart. Like this is my
exactly,
cart, and
that's
I
her
am a
spot.
queen.
That's her
Yes.
spot. Exactly.
And it
It's
was the
her throne.
cutest thing. I love Chloe so much.
Well, we love Linus so much. And I think they should go on a date.
They should go on a date. I want to also add that we had interacted a few times, but then Linus had surgery and I got COVID basically at the same time back in February. And one day I was taking Linus out to walk him, and the front desk was like, this was left for you from Manuela. And I was like, what? And it was like this gift. It was like flowers and a gift, or it was a candle, and then like these gifts for Linus as well. That was like it was like a whole get well package for me and Linus to get well. And I was like, who
Yeah.
is this sweet person? And then I was like,
Aw.
flowers for Manuela.
I love it. And then I went away to New York and I came back and then I came back and there were like flowers in my entryway and I'm like, "Oh my God, who sent me flowers?" So it was the
Yeah.
best. Thank you.
It's been great. And so let's talk about, because I do me time with the experts, which is basically where I spend my me time working or talking to somebody who knows something on a topic I know very little about. And so an interior design, I've never talked to an interior designer on me time before. No
I'm so
pressure.
honored. I'm
Yeah.
so honored.
And I was like, oh, Manuela, this is so great. And it's like summer, and like people are like, switching things out in their house and maybe putting some new stuff out. But anyway, I wanted to first talk to you about how, like, your story, how you discovered this skill and also love, and how it all came to be. Because I just recently heard your story of like how you got to Los Angeles, and it's pretty awesome. Like it's just wild and
Thank you.
exciting, and like, oh, that's just like somebody had a dream and now they're fulfilling it. And
Yeah.
anyway, so you
Yeah.
go.
I mean, I think it goes way, way back, like when I was very, very young growing up in Brazil. So I'm Brazilian.
Yeah.
And I just remembered I always had the sense of curiosity for different colors and textures. And my grandmother would actually make fabric. Like
Wow.
she would grow cotton and then like her and her friends would spend weeks cleaning out the cotton and actually making textiles. So I always had like this fascination for different textiles and colors and different elements and like furniture making. So that
Wow.
was when I was like very, very young. And then it just evolved in high school. My high school actually offered an architectural course. It was just for, a
In
few
high
months
school?
in high school.
That's
It
so
was just
cool.
it was just for like one semester, but it was like a very brief introduction to architecture. They would teach you how to use a program called AutoCAD, which is for drafting. And I fell in love with the technicality of it, fell in love with it so much that I actually did like part two of the course while I was still in high school. And so then I was thinking, well, naturally, like to combine both of these, I would go into interior design because obviously you're still very much involved in architecture. And then you still get very involved with the actual textiles and the materials and finishes and more so on aesthetics.
Hmm.
So yeah, so then once I graduated high school, a friend of mine introduced me to an interior designer, just like a get to know each other, not thinking like he was going to hire me, which like a week later he called me and he's like, "My assistant just left. Are you available?" And
Oh
I
my
was
God.
like, "Absolutely." So then I started working for this interior designer, but like doing basic tasks, right? I knew nothing about the industry, but then I enrolled at the New York School of Interior Design, which is where I went to college for in the city. And then I worked for him for several years and, you know, basically went from assistant to junior designer to then senior designer. And then I went to different firms and tried different things. And at one point, I decided to start my own business. Yeah.
Wow.
This
That's so cool. Were you given, like, at the other places you went to, were you given like your own clients
no,
at some point? No.
no,
So the only
no,
way
not
to
at all.
sort of get your own clients was to go out on your
Hustle.
own. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, hustle, hustle. Exactly.
Yeah, so basically, I worked in different areas of design. So I first started working for a small interior design firm. Then I went into retail furniture, and then I started working for a staging firm and in their interior
Mm,
design department as well. But I mean, you meet a lot of people along the way, but I never wanted to leave any company and basically take their own clients just because
right.
I'm a firm believer in karma
Yeah,
and, what's theirs is theirs and what's mine will be mine. So I always try to keep things very respectful.
that's
Um,
nice. And then you crushed them. No, I'm kidding. Um,
Pretty much. No. No.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I'll keep it competitive. No, I'm kidding. No, no, it's all good. There's
I
plenty to
mean,
go
at
around.
least, yeah, absolutely. At least for, like immediately, like after leaving, I would never approach a client. And then, like, yeah, years later, like I would just, be getting referrals, referrals, referrals. And, that's how I'm
Mhm.
still able to maintain my business today. Um,
So that was in New York,
that was in
Connecticut,
New York and Connecticut. Yeah, both.
Connecticut.
Hmm.
Yeah. And then you made a decision to come to Los Angeles.
Why not?
Why
So
not?
I exactly. So I had never been to LA until 2022. And
Wow.
a
Okay. So just
client
a
of
couple years
mine,
ago. Yeah.
yeah, a client of mine from Connecticut that I had worked with for a long time said, "We're buying a home in LA. We love working with you. Would you be willing to travel out there to help us?" And I was like, "Absolutely." Like, that's a no-brainer.
That's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So then I flew out one time for like 3 days, obviously to see the house, meet with vendors. And I would obviously work the whole day, but in the evening, I would want to just explore the city. And I would just go out to dinner, go to a comedy show, and, do random things. And then the next month, I came back, same thing. And then the third time I came, I was like, I wonder what it would be like to live here. And
Hmm.
I literally Googled apartment buildings and I live alone. So I wanted to live in a place that was like secure and I like having amenities. And
Yeah.
this place that I'm in today
Yeah.
is like it checked
All
all the
those
boxes.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
I basically, on my way to LAX, when I was flying back to New York, I was like, let me just go take a look, not even thinking, like, is this going to happen? And
Stop it.
totally, I walked into to the apartment and I was like, this is it. The energy felt so right. Like nobody had
It's,
lived in the unit that was there that was available for me. And so on my flight back home, I sent them an email and I was like, I'll take the apartment. But meanwhile, I had no plan, right? Obviously.
I love
And
this.
so, and I was still on another lease in an apartment in Connecticut. And I was like, I'll figure things out. And it just all worked out. Then I sold all of my furniture packed up my car. I drove cross country by myself for 6 days. It was one of the best experiences of my life.
Everyone should do that.
Yeah, it
Everyone,
was so good.
it's so good. It's so,
Yeah,
you learn so much. I'm so
yeah,
curious. You came from Connecticut, so did you do the like northern, did you go through like there's like the northern and the southern route, right? There's like the
yeah,
I-40, which goes through like Memphis and like Oklahoma City and Amarillo, and then there's one that goes through like I think it's like St. Louis and
yeah.
maybe, oh my God, can you hear that?
Is Linus there?
Oh my God, he's
My
literally
son-in-law.
at my feet.
Oh, my sweet boy.
He was just in my, I didn't know where he was. And then all of a sudden I heard,
Oh,
anyway,
he's so sweet.
wait, so
Yeah.
where did you stop?
Well, my first stop was the Falling Water by Frank Lloyd Wright in
Yeah,
Pennsylvania because I've always loved it and I had never been.
that's
So that
so
was my
cool. I've
very
never
first
been.
stop. And then I think I spent the night in like Columbus, Ohio or something.
Mhm.
And then I like the middle of the trip wasn't so great because there was like not really much to see. You're driving mostly like through farmland. But then I drove through obviously like Utah, Arizona, and then like I was just so fascinated. I was like, I can't believe this is our country. And I'm like, this is incredible.
It's
Um,
wild, right? To like experience like, yeah, I did Connecticut to California and took like 2 weeks. And so we went up in like, it wasn't alone, but I went up in like, I mean, from all the national parks, like Mount Rushmore, like did all this like, kind of
yeah,
touristy, but you just see and feel like
yeah.
so many different things. Anyway, so you did this
Oh,
alone.
definitely. So I did this alone, and for me, it was great. I mean, I love spending alone time. Like,
Yeah.
so those 6 days in the car were the best.
Yeah.
Plus, I was also seeing so much that I hadn't seen before, and I was super excited about this whole new experience and this brand new life that I was going to have. That, it was just everything was new. So yeah,
What
it
did you
was
listen
great.
to? I'm so curious. I mean, that feels very, it just feels like a girl, like, I don't know, just getting on the road and like, I'm like imagining the soundtrack. It's like,
Oh, I
yeah.
listened to so many different things. I listened to a lot of John Mayer. I'm a big
Oh,
John
yeah.
Mayer fan. Okay.
Yeah. That's great. That's great.
Love Ellie Goulding.
Oh, yeah.
And then I would listen to a lot of like books, podcasts. Sometimes I wouldn't listen to anything. And then obviously I was still working that week too, so I still had to do a lot of client calls. So it was a mix of different things. Yeah.
So you drove across the country by yourself. It's so funny you mentioned alone time because this podcast is kind of about alone time, which we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But so you drove out here. You had seen this apartment. You love
Mhm.
the apartment, and you had this client now out here. And did you just sort of show up and just do, as you were saying, like hustle and find your,
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Just I basically it was almost like starting a new business because it was pretty much like starting a new business because I'm in a totally different area.
yeah,
Styles are very different. I
yeah,
didn't really even have friends. So it was just like reaching out to real estate agents, architects, and just networking as much as I could, letting people know, who I was and what I do, and talking to my clients also on the East Coast and letting them know I'm here. Like, do they know of anyone? And just,
yeah.
pretty much, yeah, just asking for referrals. And so business has been growing, which is great. So yeah, I,
He
I
knows
took a
I'm
chance
talking
and
to
I'm,
you, and I think he's feeling like left out because you're in my headphone and not like he can't hear you. You all, Linus can see my, oh, can you hear this?
no,
He sees Manuela like she could be like a block away, and he just knows that it's her.
I love
Loves her
him
so much.
so much. He's so
Um,
sweet.
I love all of this. Because I was thinking about it too. Like I've seen some of like what you've posted. Your stuff is like so beautiful and
Thank you.
unique too. It
Thank
doesn't
you.
like it's not like oh it's this or oh it's that. It's like everything. And I would imagine in a way, like when you meet somebody to do their space, like you almost have to get to know them on a certain level, and
Right.
like I or and like a personality to like bring, because I that's one of the things I love, just the little bit that I've seen, is that it's sort of like it feels tailored to
Yeah.
whoever and whatever. And how do
Yeah.
you like if I were, I would probably say I don't know, like
Yeah.
you tell
It
me.
it actually makes
Like,
me so happy to hear that that's what you identify from
oh,
the photos, because that's one of the main things that I really focus on, is really making sure that every space I design reflects my client and not my own,
yeah,
their style. Um, like I there's nothing wrong with like a specific designer having like a certain look, and like you can see a room and identify it and know that they did it. Nothing wrong with that. I admire that. It's just I wanted to take a totally different approach.
yeah,
Most of my projects are residential, and I wanted to make sure the spaces were unique. And I also focus a lot on like relationships, and like the more the space reflects them and the more they love it, like the higher the likelihood of them referring me to some of their friends, and keeping me in mind for future projects and all of that. I never want them to look at something and think like, oh, we got this because of her. Like I want them to look at something and think like, oh, we got this because we love it. Manuela suggested it, but because we love it. Like I always want it to be unique and their own.
yeah.
So
I
to
love
answer your
that. I'm
question,
just like staring at this lamp behind you, and I'm
oh,
like, that is so dope. To answer my question, go on. Sorry.
so yeah, I focus a lot on getting to know the client and,
Yeah.
how they live. And do they have pets, no pets, kids? Do they
Mhm.
entertain a lot? Do they cook a lot? Because functionality for me comes first, and the space has to function well. Like, it's easier to make a space look beautiful, but I think function has to be number one, because
Yeah.
if it's beautiful but it doesn't work for you, then it's no good.
Yeah.
Um,
No, that's such a good point.
yeah. So I spend a lot of time trying to understand like day to day. Sometimes I might spend like a full day with a client, just, you know, seeing how they live and how they move throughout the space, and,
Oh, I
if they're
love that. Like you
yeah.
sort of go through a day in the life to sort of
Yeah.
get, oh, wow,
Yeah,
that's
pretty much.
cool.
Or we'll also, like, if we're doing a kitchen, for example, and if I may suggest like, well, why don't we do a dinner at your house, and then I could see how they move, you know, with between like how they're cooking and how they interact with guests, and what's working and what's not working, and I'm just taking notes so that we can of course address all of that when, in the design process.
I love that.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that. And that makes so much
Really?
sense. Yeah, like I've never
Yeah.
heard of I feel like a long time ago, I worked with a designer a couple times. He was my friend's dad. So like he knew, he'd been to my house and he'd seen all that already. And
Mhm.
it was like, but no, I've never heard, even friends I know that have worked with designers, that seems like such a special thing to have somebody come actually live your life with you for a
Yeah.
minute and see how you live, and then adjust a design
Yeah.
around that. I love
Yeah.
that.
What I also love doing is like when we do, figure out function, and then when we decide aesthetics, like obviously I ask a lot of questions like what colors do you like, what colors do you don't like, textures and so on. And then I also ask to see their closet, because
Oh my God,
basically,
I cannot. Okay, go on.
Maggie, I would like to see your closet.
Yes. Okay.
But if you
I
think
go ahead. I actually think this might be like my birthday gift to myself this year, but go on. We'll discuss.
Okay.
We'll discuss.
Well, because sometimes you might think, I don't really know what I like, but immediately, if we go into your closet, we can automatically identify some things that you would like to see in your spaces. Because if you're comfortable wearing something, most likely you're going to be
Mm,
comfortable seeing it, touching the same type of material. Like if the clothes are very like tailored and form fitting, most likely you'll probably like pieces that are more, tailored, like tight upholstery, tight back, tight seat.
wow.
Um, if
That's
you
how I think.
like mostly neutral colors, most likely you're gonna feel more comfortable in a neutral space.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that like if you have a pink shirt that, we're going to design your space pink, but it might mean that you might be willing to take a chance in one accent piece, whether it's artwork or an accent chair or something.
Right.
So your
That's so
closet
cool.
says a lot about you. Yeah.
My closet, you would be like, Maggie, where is the color? Why is
Same.
everything black, white, and gray? Also,
That's the
Maggie, this is a mess. Sorry,
No, but if you
not
think
even.
about it, like many brands, like Jenny Kane, for example,
Who is
they
a
have,
sponsor of this podcast?
yeah, so
Yeah.
they have a furniture line. So most likely, like
Oh
if
yeah.
so if you like clothes, but then like most likely you would like some of their furniture pieces. So like you're the same customer to them. So like how smart is it that you can like walk into a store showroom and just be able to shop?
Yeah.
So many brands are actually doing a lot of that.
I've
Um,
noticed that. I've actually
yeah.
noticed that a little more. Who did this initial? Well, I mean, just based on my like age and what I was sort of discovering and like, but like James Purse, I remember
Yeah.
was like a big one. The first time it was like, oh
Yeah.
wait, James Purse has a home store. And it was like,
Banana Republic is now
but it
doing it as well. Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Know that?
Yeah, they have a big store on Melrose. Yeah.
A home store?
Hmm.
Where have I been? Do they really?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I would love to see it. I bet it's very cool.
Yeah.
Feels like it would be practical and also like stylish and modern, but like not too trendy.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, so just like the clothes. Um,
Neutral, timeless.
Neutral.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Like
Yeah.
can go with anything and with
Exactly.
anybody. I love this. Oh my God, I actually want, I would love to see that. That's so funny. I did not know they had a store. Okay, do you have favorite, like, do you have, what are your favorite places in LA? Like favorite stores? I mean, I don't want you to give away your secrets, but like your favorite go-tos for either inspiration or for clients.
So for clients, I shop a lot from vendors at the Pacific Design Center. A
Hmm.
lot of the vendors are trade only, but I mean, there's Holly Hunt, Interlude, Arteriors.
He just hit the keyboard.
Oh, are you okay?
He's fine. He is fine. He is
He wanted to say hi.
very, oh, he wants to turn around. There you go. He's just very a little clingy today. And
Oh,
I'm leaving town in a couple days, and I think he always knows when I'm leaving. So he gets extra
they definitely
this.
know.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Pacific Design Center. That's so cool. That's where James, does he still have a store there, James Purse?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah. I
cool.
love
Yeah.
that store.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We also have a lot of custom pieces made at like local workrooms or mill workshops. I've been getting more and more into custom furniture design.
Cool.
Maybe someday soon, hopefully, there'll be my own furniture line. So we'll see.
Is that a goal you want to
Yeah,
do? Oh, I love
eventually.
that.
Yeah.
Love
Yeah.
that.
So, I mean, I've been designing some custom pieces for clients. I have a really, really cool piece that I'm designing for a client now for a project on the East Coast that I can't wait to share.
Oh, I love it.
So we'll see.
So you're in the on that side too. You like that side too, like the actual making. Oh, it sounds like, I
Yeah.
mean, even from like growing up in Brazil and like
Yeah.
the just
Yeah.
this is so cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's your podcast? Where's your podcast? We'll discuss. So we have I mean, I had some questions maybe even of my own, but I mostly like the questions that listeners sent in were really good. That's why I was like, I'm going to send these beforehand too, because they require a little bit of, even I was like, wow, I wouldn't have thought of this as a question. But before we do that, I want to ask you a couple things. What is your favorite? How do you spend me time? I feel like your life would be, you're in a lot of other people's spaces and a lot of other people's energy, and you have to kind of stay in that probably for when you're looking at something, you almost have to be in like the energy of somebody else, like through their eyes. How do you, what's your favorite alone time? Like Manuela comes back to herself, and it doesn't have
Yeah.
to be like, it can be weird.
Yeah.
I tell everyone, it's
Well,
like, it doesn't have to be this perfect, like, I go to a spa. It's like,
yeah. Yeah.
no, like, how do you come back to yourself?
Yeah. Well, I think I've like since moving to LA, I've become better at actually allowing myself more me time because before I did not. And
Hmm.
that was actually one of the reasons why I wanted to move, just because the energy here is so
Oh.
different. Anyway, so I try to do on most days, I try to have some me time in the morning and in the evening just to like start and to close out the day. In the morning is going to the gym and
Mhm.
working out while having my first cup of coffee, my first of like 5 or 6. Um,
Oh yeah, Manuela. Yes. Okay.
so like usually at like 5 or 6 a.m., I'm in the gym.
Mhm.
Online. She's so cute.
Literally, he knows I'm talking to you.
I love it.
What are you doing?
And
Okay.
then in the evening, you're gonna laugh at this, but in the evening, it's usually cooking, most likely like outside grilling and enjoying a glass of wine. Because
I mean, I would know nothing about that. I'll get to our Psalm
yeah.
adventures and oh my God, yours is this weekend, isn't it?
Mine's this weekend. Yeah, I can't wait.
So a few weeks ago, if you all remember, I talked about this Psalm class that I was so excited about. I'm excited to say that I passed. And
Yeah.
yes, no pressure, Manuela. And I couldn't do the next round at the time they were offering it because of the last few weeks and how the travel I'm in right now. So it'll time out well that we can actually both do it at the same time in August. So,
Yeah, that'll be
um,
awesome. So hopefully
and
I'll pass this
yeah,
first.
yes, you will. We have discovered, we bonded over this right away. We've now shared wines that we love, but I love that you said just like having a glass of wine, grilling some food. It's so,
Yeah.
look, it's your treat.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think like one of the reasons why I love wine is that like it's like one of the very few moments during the day that I actually pause and I'm thinking about what I'm doing more and being more present and like understanding the flavors and the smell and
Yeah.
how it impacts food. And so I feel very present in that moment. So I think that's why more and more I want to learn more about wine.
That is so important because I think sometimes it just sounds like I have a glass of wine, but it's not just that. For me
Yeah.
either. It's literally
Yeah.
like it's my time. I take in every single second. Oh, you're gonna love this class, Manuela, because it's
I
like,
can't wait.
but you were saying that it's like it's about the food, it's about picking the wine, it's about the flavors, like taking
Yeah.
you're present in that moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's about being present and just like being in the moment and really like understanding the flavors and the smell and like think about it. Your busy day, at what time during that day do you actually stop and do that without being stressed about what you're going to do next? So for me, I think that's one of the reasons why I started to enjoy uh, that glass more and more,
Yeah.
just because it symbolizes so much more than
Yeah.
just having a glass of wine. Yeah,
It does. I
yeah.
am so with you. I ever since I moved into so I've lived in the building now for a couple years. Oof, 2 years? Oh my God, I'm coming up on 2 years. But I moved apartments in the building. So my view now is west facing. So I get the sunsets every night. So
Hmm.
that like glass of wine with the sunset. The only thing that's tricky with having like the balcony and that is that I don't go up to the roof as much because we do have grills up there and they're so nice. And
Yeah,
it's such a beautiful space to hang out. And I like used to, because I think you were saying you watch the sunset almost every night with Chloe, right?
pretty much. Yeah, yeah. You just
I
have to
love that.
join us.
I
That'll
will.
be
Oh my
a
God.
reason for you to go up there.
I actually am just as this like I'm just went through the lease renewal process or whatever. I was like, you know what? This time around, I want to make sure I'm really using the amenity. I'm
Yeah,
sorry. Never,
he's
honestly, he's
so
never. He
cute.
usually just sits in my lap the whole time, but I really think he's like, "Are you kidding me right now? Where is Chloe and why is she not here?
He's like,
Why is Manuela on the
he's like,
screen?"
is
It's
she
not.
coming in?
I know
It's
he's
like,
literally looking for you. Okay, let's do some questions. Me time is your morning me time is
well,
coffee and gym.
like during the like, I like to start my day and end with something. like that, whenever I can. On the weekends, I've been trying more and more not to work as much because the I learned that more and more when I focus on me, I am so much better for my
Yeah.
clients and my friends and everything else that I do, especially being in creative. So I like to spend a lot of time outside. I go hiking a lot. Yeah, and literally just spend time alone. Like I go out to dinner by myself and yeah, I
Me
love that.
too. I love that. And I don't meet a lot of people. I also wonder if that's like an East Coast. I'm not from the East Coast, but I'm definitely like I don't have a lot on that. I'm like, if I want a good meal, I can go have it myself. And sometimes I prefer that. But I sometimes feel like in LA, people are like, you do? You go out
Oh,
to eat alone?
people say that to me all the time and I'm like, I don't see a problem with that.
Yeah, like I like my company. Oh my God, we're
Yeah.
so similar that way. Literally, I'm doing a podcast called Me Time because I think people think I'm weird at how much I love and like kind of cherish alone time or
Yeah.
in every way, travel and okay. So I don't take your entire afternoon. No. It's just like I was like, oh, I wonder what just even a refresher, like almost like rather than having to do an entire like redo on a space. Like I'm sanding these benches I have. I think I saw
Mhm.
you the day that I was like, I'm gonna sand some benches. Just now got
Yes.
around to it. And I'm realizing they were red. And I'm realizing because I wanted something kind of fresh and new, but they fit my table perfectly that and it's a weird table, so it's like hard to find things for. I was like, I'll just sand them myself and get them natural, and then I'll decide if I want to paint them. But what I've discovered is like the red is almost like because the wood is porous, it's like they're like pink, and I'm gonna have to sand so far down to like get rid of. So I think I'm gonna have to end up painting them anyway. But I'm looking for like quick refreshers. Um, for like if I'm just like, oh, it's summer and like this is where I don't like things that are super trendy, but I'm also like if it's only gonna be a season or two, then I'm down. And sometimes literally it's as simple for me as like a new candle or a
Yeah.
new pillow or a throw. But so my question was more around like do you have a sort of a standard like this, or this, or what would be your recommendation for someone who's like, I just want to like I can't really redo all my furniture, my house or my everything is in its place, probably where it fits, but I kind of just want to like
Yeah.
give it new life.
Right, right.
What would you
Well,
say to that? Yeah.
so I think one of the big things is like making sure that you're allowing as much natural light into the space as possible, especially like in
Mm.
the summertime.
Hmm.
So, like days are longer, you want the space to feel brighter and lighter. So I think like adjusting your window treatments, like many people have like drapes
Yeah.
that they close a lot during the winter. So I think like opening them up as much as you can so that they just highlight and frame out the window, but you get a lot of the natural light in. And also like doing other things to maximize that natural light by like adding a mirror to a wall that's like opposite to that window to give the illusion that you have another window there or adjacent to it
Oh
to
yeah.
again reflect that light. Changing out some of like the heavier textiles to lighter ones
Uh-huh.
like
Like bigger blankets,
linens.
heavy. Uh-huh.
Yeah, like
Hmm.
linens, lighter, like cottons, maybe changing out the drapes to sheers. Overall, that's going to feel very calming, soothing, very light and refreshing. Um,
Love
Maybe
that.
changing out a rug um, to something that's
I'm doing
not,
that right now.
yeah,
Yeah.
you are.
Yeah, I am. I just got it. I got one delivered and it smelled so bad. And I thought it was just because it had come in plastic. And so I gave it a couple days and it just didn't go
Didn't
away.
help.
Of like
Yeah.
mildew. So I had to
Uh,
take it back. So I'm still on the hunt for a new
okay.
rug. Rug is, yeah, it's like
Yeah.
I even just got like a new runner for the hallway, kind of by accident. I was like, that looks kind of cool. I think that'll work. And because he's been healing, I've needed, it's like all hardwoods or a lot,
Right.
so he's slip sliding and whatever. And I ended up loving it.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah. So a
It makes
rug,
such a difference. It like freshens up the space. It makes it feel like it's brand new.
yeah.
Um, and then I also love, I mean, I like this. during the entire year, but primarily in the summer, is fresh flowers. So
Yeah.
try to have fresh
Can't
flowers
go
throughout.
wrong.
Yeah, you can't go wrong. Also, but like make the arrangements unique. Like I go to Trader Joe's and I buy like 2 or 3 bouquets and then I like make my own arrangement that people are like, where did you get this from? Like it looks very unique. It looks very chic and elegant. It's so
Yeah.
fresh. And although like people associate like summer with like bright, fun colors, I usually recommend keeping the colors more muted or maybe choosing like pastels and allowing like the outdoor space to stand out, especially, if you
Oh,
have a
that's
beautiful
cool.
view,
Yeah.
so it doesn't compete too much with the interior.
Yeah, I don't do bright flowers. That's so funny you said that, but yet I do feel like I have a different taste for that in the winter than I do in the summer. There's a guy on Larchmont, by the way, who does he's at the outside the farmer's market. He's not actually in the farmer's market. He's like this British guy. I'm forgetting his name. I probably never even got his name, but I will go and his arrangements are so beautiful. They're like
Beautiful.
$20 and
Wow.
he's
I'll
awesome.
have to
Yeah.
check them out.
But
Yeah.
Trader Joe's is like it's like a very underrated top level
Yeah.
florist. Like I feel like
Definitely.
isn't it? Like
Definitely.
I feel like people who know. And
Yeah.
then I feel like people who don't know when you say like, "Oh, I got these at Trader Joe's." They're like, "No, you didn't."
Yeah.
Or yeah, no, Trader
Definitely,
Joe's
yeah. You could definitely mix a few different things. And I also love going to the flower market, um, the flower
downtown.
district in LA. Yeah.
Mhm.
Also, like something that people really don't think about as much is the actual vessel, the container that you're using. Like sometimes that can also be just as beautiful as the actual arrangement. Like
Yeah.
I was doing a photo shoot for a client recently, and I had like a very long rectangular a low glass container, and all I did is I layered tulips on the right and left hand side and they just like draped over the container. Beautiful, but so simple.
Oh my
All
God.
it took was that vessel and the tulips, and that's it.
He needs to come over and put the Manuela touch. That sounds so beautiful.
Yeah,
That
so
sounds so beautiful. So
just
vase flowers, linens, swapping out heavier for lighter. It like I wouldn't go there totally, but like that seems reasonable and like you can do it for the season without like, breaking
having
the
to
bank
renovate.
and
Exactly.
all that.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah,
love that.
yeah.
You heard it here first, everyone. Let's talk about these questions. Best way to combine styles with your partner in a new house.
Ah,
So you're getting to be like a couples therapist on top of
yes,
yes, which
pretty
I
much.
imagine you have to do often, actually.
Pretty much. This is like daily because I don't think I've ever worked with one couple that they both agree on a design style.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. I mean,
Yeah.
thinking of my own life, I can see that. Yeah. So
Yeah.
how do you go about that?
So it's never easy, but basically I try to make sure that we can come to one common ground. Perhaps it's like first deciding on the floor plan, right, of the
Okay.
space, not
Hmm.
even discussing like what furniture we're going to use. And then like the main anchor pieces of the space, make sure that it's more of like a neutral palette that will blend more with like either a traditional or a modern to add more color or not. Um, just because obviously those are pieces that you're investing more in, and those pieces will basically anchor the entire space. So as long as
Wow.
both parties can agree on that, then we will add in individual elements to personalize you know, for each person
Yeah.
involved. And that can be like maybe one person really loves leather, but maybe we do like a really cool leather bench or something that's more like discreet and it's
Hmm.
not like a big leather sofa in a
Right.
room.
Oh, interesting. Right.
Um, and yeah, just trying to marry both styles and tastes into one space. But I would definitely say find one common ground. I would suggest figuring out like the floor plan first
Hmm.
and the actual anchor pieces,
Hmm.
and then adding in layers of personality into the space,
Hmm.
including, artwork. Maybe it's like one special floor lamp that one person likes, and then you add something else, and mixing different materials too that both like.
Okay.
A space really, it should it should be layered, right? So like
Yeah.
if one person likes
Yeah.
modern and the other likes traditional, like modern can sometimes be a bit cold. So it might add some warmth and add some more depth to the space if you introduce some other pieces that are a bit more eclectic.
Right. And as far as like the conversation goes, it's sort of like it's sort of getting to the place of like here's what we agree on
Yeah,
and building out from there.
exactly. Yeah.
Right.
You,
That's great. Great
yeah.
advice.
You
Great
can't
advice.
you can't just pick like one direction, one or the other, because like somebody's always going to be unhappy.
Right.
Um, yeah.
That's great. All right. I'm an eclectic pieces girly, some vintage, some modern. How can I make it all cohesive?
Okay. That's a good question. So I'm a firm believer that a space should look like you've collected pieces over time
Hmm.
and they just all speak to one another.
Hmm.
So even if we're like designing a space that's like brand new, never shop at the same place, never buy
Mm.
everything the same, all matchy matchy. So I love mixing things. But an important thing to keep in mind is scale is very important. And color is also very important. Like if you're going more towards like the warm tones, don't bring in like a cool gray piece because then that's
Right.
going to stick out and it's going to look like you added that later on and it was an afterthought.
Right.
Um, so try to stay within similar hues.
Yeah.
But scale is very important. So like if you have like uh an oversized chair, make sure that there's other pieces in the space that will balance that. Um, just so that it looks like that chair belongs in the space and it's not taking
Yeah.
over everything else in the room. But I'm a firm believer in like mixing metals, mixing different styles, mixing color, mixing textures. I just think it adds so much more personality to a space. And
Wow.
it also tells a better story. And like if
Yeah.
you have friends over, like there are different things that you can talk about. Like if you've collected pieces during your travels, it just
Yeah.
adds so much more interest to a space.
I love that. It's kind of similar to the first question in that you sort of like find the connecting thread and then sort of build out from there, whether it's like color or like you said, the piece, like an oversized piece.
Scale, yeah,
Um,
scale is very important for sure.
he, I love that. Okay, great. What mid-century modern chairs, oh, I have a thought on this, are best for relaxing and listening to music?
Okay, it has to be the Eames
Mhm.
lounge chair and ottoman
And
for sure.
I had a feeling you were going to say that. I don't have an Eames. I have the old like the Togos.
Yeah,
Is it Linier
yeah,
Rosette
yeah,
or
yeah.
Rosé? Yeah. So there's one of them. Manuela, I have had these for 10 years. Wouldn't pick orange today.
Yeah,
And yet I have made them work in every space I've ever been in, even though they're ginormous.
I
And
love that.
and but sometimes I'm like, these chairs frustrate me so much because okay, thank you, because they are so big and they're so but anyway, so Eames for sure. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I don't like I said, I don't actually hang on one second, you're hooked, buddy. I don't actually have one.
Yeah, but it's such a classic. It can work in so many different settings. It's so comfortable. It reclines a bit and like it has really good back support. And it's also great to like float in a space. Like I love seeing like if you have like a living room, if you can put it in an area that like you can actually see all sides of the chair. So it's gorgeous and it's obviously super comfortable. So that's a favorite for me.
Tips for making a small space feel bigger.
So I work a lot in New York apartments. So
Yes,
I've had to
yes.
be creative with a lot of things. Well, my number one thing that I say to everyone, no matter if you have a large space, a small space, is declutter as much as you can because people just tend to collect so many things over time that you have no idea you even own. Um, so nothing groundbreaking, but that makes such a big difference. Um, and then we were talking about bringing natural light into a space,
Yeah.
mirrors will go a long way to make a space feel bigger. So installing it on the opposite wall of a window, it'll give the illusion that you have another window there, add more depth to the space. And don't go for like a small mirror, like do oversized mirror, do multiple
Oh,
mirrors on the
cool.
wall. I also like painting the feature wall and the ceiling the same color because it draws the eye out and up.
Yeah.
So that adds a lot of depth to a space.
Cool.
And then like thinking of like going vertical in the space, like utilizing the vertical surfaces as well. Like many people just think like at eye level, like what can I do to this space? But like also think about like maximizing storage, like from floor to ceiling, adding like oversized artwork because again, like it draws the eye
Yeah.
up and out.
I love
Yeah.
this.
People think I have a small space, so I need a very small rug, a very small sofa. One of my biggest pet peeves is a small rug. Like there's nothing like doing a very small rug that will like won't make the space feel even smaller. Like it's just a
Really?
big mistake. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Um
I'm shopping for rugs and I think you're too small. Okay.
well, Maggie, I'm just a few doors away, so I'm happy to come over and we could lay it out for you.
Okay. We're doing that. We'll discuss after, but yes, it needs it. That's really interesting on the rug. I don't know that I would have thought that. Um,
Yeah.
I like this. What is a simple addition to a room to make it warm and not clunky?
One is window treatments, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
So I do like in New York, for example, when I'm working in high-rise apartments, obviously one of the things that we want to appreciate the most is the view and highlight the view. And immediately when you say window treatments to a client, they think, I don't want to block the view, but that's not the point. Like you can do stationary panels that
Hmm.
will just frame out the window. It'll actually call more attention to it and it'll soften the area. It'll add warmth. It helps with the acoustics. And then a rug. Again, a rug makes a big, big difference. I just
Yeah,
never suggest adding a rug to a dining area, but every other space, like a living room, bedroom, um, even runner in hallways,
yeah.
that makes a big difference.
Very cool. What would you suggest putting in a room with a lot of empty space adjacent to a living and dining area? Oh, like an
Almost
office
like
or an alcove? Yeah.
Well, I'm a firm believer that like every space that you design in your home, you should use. Like I don't love like spaces that are too formal that you barely use like once a year or you don't even use at all.
Yeah.
So I like to ask clients like, do you like music? Do you like to entertain? Do we do like a lounge area and do like really cool curved sofas or like really comfortable
Mm.
chairs with like
Oh, cool.
a cozy corner, like a built-in bar, just something that will define that space as its own and it will have a purpose rather than just a chair with a lamp in a corner,
I
you know?
love that. So give the room a purpose
Yeah.
and build out kind of around there. I love that you said bar.
Yeah.
That's what I
Exactly.
would do. That's what I would
That's
do
what
with
I
that
would do.
room. I'm like,
We could have our own tasting sessions
oh
at
my
that
God.
bar. I love that.
All right, great. Another thing to discuss. How do you incorporate trends while still being timeless and in your design and style?
Yeah. Oh, that's a great question.
Yeah.
So, I'm not into like doing things that are too trendy just because like I want the space to feel timeless. But at the same time, I like to take risk. I like to explore new things. So, the anchor pieces of the room, like primarily like sofa, maybe the dining table, pieces that are more that you're going to have for a very, very long period of time. Make sure that those pieces are like more neutrals, maybe
Hmm.
a bit more tailored, more timeless. And then you can
Like at the
layer in
cream color, not the bright orange.
maybe. And then you could layer in different things that will be a bit more risky but are easier to change.
Yeah.
Like one thing that's so easy to change is paint. So like it doesn't mean you have to paint a whole room or wallpaper an entire room, but if you have like a room that's like a a lounge or like a bar or something, maybe you wallpaper one of the walls with like a really cool, unique wallpaper. If you're sick of it in a year or two, all you need to do is remove that wallpaper and paint it or do something else that's new and that will completely transform the space.
That's cool.
So think of like anchor pieces, classic, timeless, and then layering in different things, even if it's like layering in artwork, layering in accessories that you can easily swap out. Changing out your coffee table books. Like I love coffee table books. Like everywhere I go, everywhere I travel to, I bring a book with me.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
yeah, and then like I move them out. Like even like coffee tables that are on the coffee table now, like I'll swap them out. Like maybe next season I'll change out the book and put something new there.
Oh, I love
Um,
that. I feel
yeah.
like I've had the same coffee table book on every coffee table. Um, And it's really interesting because the other day I was like, this is so cool. And I am so tired of looking at it. And then I put it like on the windowsill. I have like a ledge that's like, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, it's way better over here. And I had like I was like just moving things around because I was putting myself on tape for an audition and I use books as a way to hold up the tripod.
Yeah.
And I saw these books together and I was like, oh, this is very cool. And then like an idiot, I just went right back to the way things were. And it's also funny because it's the Helmut Newton, it's the nudes. So like
Yep.
the first thing anybody sees when they walk into my living room is like a naked woman on the cover of a book. And I was like, but I love the book so much. Anyway, so it makes me very happy, but also
Yeah.
like it's time. It's time for a swap
Yeah.
out. Coffee
But
table books
also
are
like
great. Yeah.
yeah, coffee table books like I have there's one here that you could see that's
Oh, I
like
love that
open.
the acrylic.
Yeah.
That's I have the same opener, but
Yeah.
like broke recently. Yeah, but that
So
is
like
so beautiful.
I love having that because I also put different books or I flip the pages so that
Yeah,
it's almost like new art that you're seeing
I love
over and
that.
over.
Yeah,
Um yeah, so again, layering and changing out simple things, whether it's like uh maybe it's like a cool throw with like a really cool pattern that you like or something that you found in your travels. Um yeah.
I love that. And last question, which I'm also curious about. Even though I don't think there's anything negative with it, but thoughts on feng shui?
I'm not an expert in feng shui. I'm sure there's some other like Japanese influence in it. But I
Yes,
um
go ahead.
the so I'm definitely not a feng shui expert. However, I am a firm believer in energy and flow. So there are many things that I do keep in mind when designing a space. Like like specifically with like furniture layout. Like in a bedroom, you should be able to see the headboard when you come in. If I'm designing an office, when you sit
Hmm.
at the desk, you need to be able to see the door. Um,
Hmm.
uh, light is also very important. And I know I keep repeating this over and over, but I use mirrors a lot. So like
Hmm.
make sure to add that and also bringing in nature inside. So adding a lot of like fresh elements, like fresh flowers, and arrangements in a space. So again, I am not a feng shui expert, but I am a firm believer in all of that and good
Yeah,
energy flow and like keeping a space. Like one of the main things I suggest to a client is like decluttering it and keeping the space like very minimal as much
yeah.
as possible.
That's
Yeah.
such great advice too, because I feel like when a space is decluttered, when it feels clean, it helps us. It kind of does something to our brains as well. Like it declutters
Yeah.
everything. My thing is like I feel like these days I have the space might be decluttered, but I know what's in the closet. And
Yeah.
that bothers me because I know it's like, oh, I need to clean that closet. And something about that also like can kind of get to me sometimes. But
No, totally.
and
I'm the
that's
same
naturally.
way. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I'm the
right?
same way. Like I don't want to know that it's behind doors. Like it just needs to be gone.
Correct.
Yeah.
I want
If
to
you
be able to
haven't,
open any drawer and be like, look at that.
Exactly.
That's clean. I know that's clean. That's not how my space is right now, but that's how I like it. It's really not how my space is right now. I'm like, don't open that closet door. Don't do it. Top three things right now, just right now, doesn't have to be in your lifetime or anything, but like three things right now you absolutely can't live without. Of
Um, Chloe, number one.
course. Of course. I knew you were going to say that.
Wow, that's so tough.
Do you have a favorite beauty product or toothpaste or coffee or a favorite t-shirt or a favorite
I'm always in black.
you are kind of always okay. So we love the color. You love the color black. You can't live without the color black. Great.
I can't. No.
Chloe, the color black.
And coffee.
Fine. Okay,
Yeah,
coffee.
and wine. Wait, can
Okay.
I have four? Can I have more then?
Absolutely.
I have
You
to
can have as
include
many as you
wine in
want.
there.
Yeah. We okay, great. Good. I could have probably guessed actually I could have probably guessed at least three of the four.
Yeah.
And I don't even know you that well yet, but I
No,
know
but it's
enough.
not hard. It's like you see me a couple of times and you're like, yep, I know it.
I feel like I'm always seeing you when oh my God, I feel like twice when I've seen you downstairs, I have been in some very intense conversation. One was about work and one was about some family stuff that was going on. And I was like, oh God, Manuela, I think I'm literally like, I just live in drama and I don't,
No, I was
but
happy that both times I got to spend more time with Linus.
that's
So,
good. He was too. He was
yeah.
like, this woman is very stressed out today. So I'm going to go hang with Manuela.
Oh, he
Anyway,
wants to say hi.
can't you just see why? Like now, because by the way, this will be on YouTube. So
Oh,
people will have seen Linus and now they'll understand the love of Chloe
look
because
at
she's
her.
gorgeous. This is who I saw. This is how I met Manuela. Because this beautiful creature was just like chilling on a cart
She's
and
so sleepy.
she is sleepy. She's so sweet. Okay, I'm gonna let you be with Chloe. I'm gonna wrap this up. Thank you all so much for listening. And Manuela, your your whole story is fascinating, and I just
Thank
can't wait to
you.
see everything you're gonna do. Where can people find you, and hire you and follow you and get to know you?
Thank you. Instagram is at Manuela Moreira Interiors, and the correct spelling is Manuella Moreira.
And we'll
My
put all
web,
this up on our socials too. Yeah.
yeah, and my website is manuelamoreira.com.
And there it is. So
That's
we
it.
learned a lot today. I love it. Okay,
Thank you
enjoy
for
the rest
having
of your
me.
afternoon. I cannot thank you enough for doing this.
Thank
I thought
you.
it would
This
be
was
so fun,
fun.
and it was. So I'm like,
Let's
yay,
do it
okay.
again
And
over a glass of wine.
we will. We actually should. We actually should do a podcast after a couple glasses of wine because that would be very funny.
I love it.